Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm really excited to talk about Nisha's LESHRAC. I mean, he pops off this series. This is the second series of TI, and honestly, his performance throughout this tournament has been fantastic. And in this series in particular, he goes nuts. At minute 13, he has 2 kills, 2 assists, and 107 CS. As we skip ahead, at minute 21, he has 200 CS. Even though LGD was 5k ahead at this point, he kept his team in the game on one of Dota's most broken heroes in the current meta. And so we're going to watch his gameplay, see how he's so damn efficient on the LESHRAC, and let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the GameLeap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the GameLeap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. So one of the things that always impresses me about top players, but Nisha in particular, is his ability to focus on everything at the same time. As you'll notice if you really watch his lane closely, he contests basically every single creep. The only ones he won't contest are creeps that are literally going under Zeus's tower. Even then, he might consider to do so. And so basically, like, I don't know, it's just so impressive. We'll watch a couple of the waves here. Every single creep is contested. That melee creep contested. This melee creep, right, bottle actually cancels a bottle charge from nothing to say. Gets some damage on him, stuns, largely for the range creep there, taking advantage of the level 2 split earth. Aggro's back, primarily playing for the water in here. Looking to obviously secure his lane in that regard. Picks up a stick. From there, he's going to look to contest nothing to say as the wave goes under his tower, once again contesting the melee creep. From here, you would kind of assume that these range creeps aren't really deniable because of the Zeus Q, but he actually hits a stun, allowing him to get a deny on the range creep, which is just insane, right? And then once again contesting the flag bearer creep. So basically, he's just always putting pressure. These players at this top level just make you feel like garbage, right? If you can't keep up, you have no chance. Every single creep is a battle. And that's what, you know, if you're trying to get to this level as well, you kind of have to have the same mindset. You have to be the guy who's able to focus on every single individual creep and every single time you can get a free auto attack in, which honestly is a hard thing for me to talk about. Like, when do you specifically auto attack? Typically, it's when the wave is shoving into the enemy, you have a double wave, or your range creep is still alive and the enemy range creep is dead. That would be often a scenario where you would put that pressure, but either way, even as the lane continues to the 4-minute mark, typically people stop contesting creeps. They get distracted, bored, lose focus, whatever it is. They don't really continue to contest all the creeps, but Nisha consistently will stick with it, and that is the most impressive thing to me about him as a player, his consistency in his aggression in terms of the CS in the lane. So from there, the first thing he does is buys mana boots. Does of course have a stick this game for the Zeus, but he picks up a very early mana boots. On top of that, he actually gets down a deep ward for himself and finds a D ward on the hill, which is massive because it gives a large amount of XP. So that's really huge. From there, they look for a kill on the Zeus, unfortunately don't find it. So he's going to push out the mid wave, and typically as the current state of mid laners is, you're going to push out the mid wave and then farm the large camp. He actually stacks this large camp for himself multiple times now. This triple stack is only from him, and that's a pretty cool play, right? Obviously, you can't stack the small camp anymore, but every single minute you can stack this camp, and he farms it at the 7-minute mark, which is really smart, right? You can stack at 553, then at 653, or I think this camp is 55, so 555, 655, and then you take it at 7, and hopefully you get a neutral item. Somehow, that is so unlucky, actually. That's crazy. Somehow he doesn't find a neutral item off a triple stack. Doesn't get one off that camp either. Damn, he must be pissed. All right, he gets a tumbler's toy and a pig pole. All right, some retribution. Takes the pig pole. Okay, actually opting for the pig pole, and he disassembles his mana boots to use his wand as well. So beautiful efficiency. Considers going bottom, but decides to stay mid here. Probably gonna, okay, wow, that's a really cool play. Drag the wave into getting the rune, and he'll probably drag it to the large camp here for efficiency, right? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, talking about how he gets such high net worth, this is one of the reasons. That's a really cool efficiency play, as he's actually going to look to cut off the Zeus, and he finds him on the hill, but oh my gosh, nothing to say mess up. I remember seeing that. I was watching the game briefly. I was like, how did he die? Like, how did he die to a lesh? That's how. Oh my gosh, he messed up the heavenly jump. But off the regen rune, this is an obvious scenario where you're going to try to use it to farm. Okay, never mind. He actually rotates in, doesn't find the kill. You probably want to keep your regen rune going, as he does actually do that. The tower doesn't break the regen, and it keeps going the entire time. Unfortunately, it gets broken at the end. But yeah, that's a beautiful use of the regen, as he's able to get, you know, a couple kills bottom, somehow finds the Zeus. A little bit lucky. That's really unfortunate, because that really sets back the Zeus and snowballs the Lesh. At a pro level, deaths like that are pretty game-changing. As he actually bottles with... Oh, no, he messed up. Okay, he started using his mana before reassembling the mana boots, which is not great. In terms of skill build, put 3 points on the Lightning Storm, which I've seen a couple people do now. I think it's just to secure the range creep faster earlier on, which you can do with Split Earth, but I don't know. It's a bit odd. I'm not exactly sure of the reason. From there, he does a great job of dragging the camps together, and now can complete, if he wants to, a 10-minute soul booster. Decides not to instantly do it, as he might get run down here by the DP. Yeah, it doesn't instantly decide to actually complete it, and this is smart. A lot of people would instantly complete the soul booster, but it's actually a bad idea because you lose mana boots, right? You lose your mana boots. Why would you want to lose your mana boots? It's just stupid. So now that he's out of resources, probably gonna go back to base, I would imagine. Maybe stack this camp farm and then go back to base. That's pretty reasonable, right? Anytime you're this low on HP and mana, you're gonna farm as deep as you can, all the way back to the base, and that's what he'll do. Picking up actually going back for the Windlace, oddly enough. I think he's scooping up the Windlace here in case they want to fight bottom. I mean, it's a great LESHRAC item, but typically you'll see them complete. They'll either buy it before the Bloodstone, like way before any of the components, or they'll buy it after the Bloodstone. So buys it at a weird time. Maybe he knew he wanted to pressure the top tower and have a bit more skirmish potential, right? Because every little thing counts in Dota. Every little thing counts, and so the Windlace movement speed on a hero like Lesh is obviously pretty important, but not at his timing yet. Generally wants to play for the Bloodstone. His team is really struggling in this game, so they'll have to put in a bit of work, but they're gonna look for the DP mid. Surprised Zayak ran in there. You would imagine they would know, or they would try to go on him. So Faithbeyond's gonna commit onto the Lesh, and yeah, okay, he gets completely kicked out. The DP looking pretty decent there, but what happened to the backline? I'm actually not sure. I'm not gonna focus on that, but at least he didn't overcommit on the DP. Unfortunately, the Vessel comes out, and that's a very common counter to the LESHRAC nowadays, considering a Vessel buyer. Vessel and Wraith Pact are two of the best items in the game against Lesh, because he can't really kill the Wraith Pact, not too quickly at least, and Vessel counters the Bloodstone timing really hard, because Bloodstone is obviously very much about healing, and the Vessel counters that out pretty hard. So I do like the item build from the Death Prophet to try to counter him a bit. And now that he has the Bloodstone, he's going to start using it to farm. This item is so stupid right now, at least on LESHRAC. It's not stupid on most heroes, but it's so good on LESHRAC, right? Pops it up, and it costs him negative mana to farm an Ancient Camp and a Large Camp, which is insane. It's insane how efficient you can be on this hero, as he's actually dragging the way... Oh, he's getting chased. That's unfortunate. Okay, he's not. So he'll probably rinse repeat, yeah. Drag the camps together, pop the Bloodstone, even using the Edict to really clear up the Ancient Camp as fast as possible. So maximizing his efficiency pretty hard here. So after taking a couple more of these Ancient Stack rotations, he's going to look to pop off. And honestly, I think this is why Secret really sees a lot of value in particular. This is something you could apply to your pubs too. They see a lot of value in picking this Dawnbreaker, because Dawnbreaker's not farming Ancients. Neither is Marcy. So it's all to the Lesh. And this allows LESHRAC to be the hyper carry that he wants to be. You don't really want to be a medium farm LESHRAC. It feels pretty garbage, as he actually picks up the Yules here. Not really sure why he Yules there. Maybe just to make sure that the Spirit Siphon couldn't come out, which is kind of a cool concept, but I think he would have died anyway. Either way though, as I was saying, great fight, great wrap from the LESHRAC. You always want to join fights late like that. That's best case scenario. But as I was saying, like, yeah, the heroes really play around him well. And then Dawnbreaker, on top of that, just plays so well with the concept of Lesh, because Lesh wants to run in and then have backup to save him, or at least enable him. Whether or not that stuns or saves. And, you know, Dawnbreaker is such a great one because it's a stun and a save, right? So it works extremely well at enabling the Lesh in these team fights. And honestly, yeah, this is, now that I look at it more and more, I love the draft from Secret, because Marcy and Dawnbreaker, I mean, Dawnbreaker does take a lot of space, but she specifically pushes in waves. Obviously, she can jungle and does jungle quite quickly, but doesn't need to, right? Doesn't have to do it too much. Obviously, you want to scale, but the big thing is the Marcy. Marcy doesn't need farm to pop off. Like, yeah, I mean, you want a baseline of farm, right? You absolutely need BKB, but past that, everything is, it's not unnecessary. You really want a Basher, you really want a Daedalus, don't get me wrong. You don't need it though. Not to have impact this. Oh my gosh, what an initiation from Zayak. So they're gonna go onto the Monkey King. Wow, they just chain stun him. He had BKB, just doesn't get it off. That's insane from Secret that they just chain stun him from full. Target's down Y. right? Just killing him off. And a big thing that he does, I've noticed this, these great Lesh players, they toggle the ult. It's more damage if you toggle it. So you'll see when he goes on Lesh here, pay attention to the ulti here. He turns on the Bloodstone, and then in between the damage ticks, he toggles it. So basically what you do is when you see it go off, right? So when you see the beam like strike someone from Pulse Nova, you double tap, like you armlet toggle Pulse Nova, and it costs more mana because it has a startup time, like a startup mana cost, but it actually does more damage, right? It actually does more damage. So basically that's what you're seeing here. He's just taking it, and he even did it in the team fight. I'll actually go back 20 seconds here just so you can see it. Even when he goes in the pit, he's so focused, hits the stun, turns on the edict, and then actually starts, yeah, you can see toggling the ulti to burst the Monkey King. And it can be, I've heard it's like a 30 to 50% damage increase. I can't remember the exact number, but by doing this, you actually severely increase the amount of Bloodstone heal you get, and even the mana you get back from Bloodstone is amped. So it's really important to learn this technique of toggling Pulse Nova with Bloodstone. It makes the hero way better, and people don't understand this. That this even exists, but it does, and it's really important, as he probably even does it when farming with the Bloodstone active. So from there, he's going to pick up BKB Blink Dagger. Makes sense, he doesn't really need armor this game. He actually does queue up Shivas, which maybe he feels like the Monkey King Scotty could become a problem, but he doesn't need the armor too much because Monkey King is generally ignorable. To be fair, he could get tossed into the Wukongs, which would be a real problem for him. He'll get absolutely annihilated if that happens with only 12 armor, but they actually find the DP, and he jumps in really harsh. And this is kind of what you want to typically do as Lesh. You just want to get in and get a kill. But unfortunately, in this case, he might have a problem. I don't really know why he walked. I would imagine he's going to die, right? Yeah. He kind of walks face first into the Monkey King. Maybe that's... Okay, they're going to get him, actually. All right, it actually works out. The Aegis, it's too much. And now he's probably going to look to go back in. I mean, I would want to go in. Unfortunately, it is a Zeus Tiny, so you could get bursted from this HP range, but you really would want to go in, as he's going to pop the Bloodstone, heal back to full. So crazy, man. So crazy how much you heal from this Bloodstone item. Doesn't even have a Kaya, you know? It doesn't even have the Kaya to amp, he's just doing it. As he blinks, finds the Tiny, they're looking for the Lich. Maybe they'll find him. Find the Glimpse, get the Lich. Probably look to get the tier 1 here just for gold's sake. Yep, they'll take the tier 1, a little bit of, a little bit of gold, a little bit of efficiency, stunning the trees. Anytime you're pushing a tower, it's a really great idea to stun the trees like this. Just kind of gain some information, make sure that you can't get snuck up on. As he's going to clear up some of these camps. Right, fight breaking out. This looks like a solid fight. BKB on Monkey already used, so I would imagine he's either going to look to stun the Tiny or wait for the Monkey. He actually decides to go on Tiny. A little bit surprised. I thought maybe he would prioritize the Monkey King, but he plays it safe and goes in. Still doing the toggles all throughout that, and finds a huge set of kills. So once again, that's kind of base case scenario for Lesh. You can actually BKB and jump in. That's an option as well. But if you're going to do that, you want to make sure the enemy team doesn't have like Glimmers and Force Staffs and BKBs to easily get away. If you identify that they don't have kite out items or spells, you can actually just jump in with your BKB Blink Dagger and be happy to do that in team fights. But this game, it's a little bit tough. I would imagine the Lich has probably Glimmer of Force. Oh no, he's actually poor, so he can jump. Yeah, there you go. Neither of the supports have a real way, actually any way, to get away from the LESHRAC, so knowing that, he could jump in. To be fair, their cores have 3 BKBs, but in the fights, he's either going to follow up a Nyx stun, follow up a Marcy stun, or jump one of the supports with his BKB and just take them out of the fight. So that would be the vision I would have, at least, because right, you're identifying what counters you. You don't want to get kited out, you don't want to get your BKB forced, so when you jump in, you want to make sure it's on someone you can kill. Oh, and there we go, right, immediately. I guess he knows that the Avalanche is on cooldown. Good jukes from Xingqiu. That's good shit. Good jukes from Xingqiu to kite him out, but you can see immediately jumps on the Tiny. Only doesn't pop BKB there because the Avalanche toss was on cooldown at the beginning of it. So he's going to farm up his Shivas, probably completed at this point. He already bought out, so a little bit surprised to see him TP this early, right? Considering he was so close to Shivas. I thought maybe he would get the Shivas beforehand, but okay. Finds a Hasterin. Could be an opportunity to go in. Oh, they find the Zeus. That's a great Carapace. They find the Zeus, they find Y. He knows that Y is weak to him. And even the Glimmer isn't too bad because you can follow Edict. So if you have no detection, you can just watch the Edict and it will tell you where Invis units are running to. So that is an option against Glimmer. You'll just do a lot less damage, of course, because they're taking 45% less damage. As he does this a lot, he drags the waves, turns on the Bloodstone, and then heals off the camp in the wave. And it gives him so much mana and infinite health. So I really like that. And this is how you know these pro players are so good. They just know what they need to do. Like, it's easy for me to say it, Because like, I'm not playing the game, I'm able to pause, I'm able to think about it. But just with intuition, right, they know who they have to jump. He jumps in here, I mean, gets a big Shivas, but then he's able to hit this really good stun onto the Tiny on a follow-up on Carapace. And just takes out the Tiny, right? He also kind of forces out the BKB from the DP, right? He knows that DP doesn't do any damage at this point in the game. Especially, DP just doesn't do anything. Like, it's not fully true, but the problem is, like, especially if Exo's on cooldown, which I guess it's not, it's just bugged. It's actually up, yeah, you can see it running. But the DP, it's just not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. The Bloodstone's going to literally out-heal all of the damage, and so he can confidently just force for BKB, and that's what he does. Kind of taking the DP out of the fight, allowing for this eventual glimpse to come out. So it's a perfect jump, kills off the support, like I mentioned, and forces a BKB. Best case scenario, really, as he's going to find the Lich as well. And the Blink Dagger comes in handy. So always pick up Blink Dagger on this hero. I think it's basically an absolute must at some point in the game. And here I do want to show a fight where he actually dies. This is just a great move from LGD. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if he doesn't have BKB, he's going to have problems, right? Especially because of Scotty just reducing the heals and slowing him. So if he does end up getting jumped, it's not necessarily a free game. This Monkey King is actually a counter to him. And yeah, he pops his BKB here, gets it off, but the Scotty comes out. And the Monkey King does a great job of just confidently dropping the ulti. And then the Avalanche is just going to keep the LESHRAC in the ulti and eventually kill him off. So it's a great lead to the fight from LGD. I mean, that is best case scenario. I'm even a little bit surprised he actually walked up there on LESHRAC. He probably felt that he couldn't die and he could bait. But I think, honestly, that's not a great option for them because, you know, Secret isn't going to be able to kill the Monkey King if he BKBs. They don't have a hero to do that. Marcy's just not at that point yet. Even if she has Daedalus, she's not just going to instantly kill the Monkey King. Right? She could jump him, but realistically, it's not terrible damage. And maybe that, I'm even surprised what happened. Why didn't the Marcy jump in? That's actually a good question. What happened there? Yeah, that's weird. I'm not really sure why they didn't go. I mean, I guess he just probably felt that it was a bad fight. I think they probably felt like, oh, our LESHRAC got jumped. Don't go in. Puppy was probably yelling at them like, hey, don't go. We got jumped. Because often in Dota, there's a concept in the late game, which is just like, if you don't get the jump, you just get out. It will never happen in pubs, because in pubs, people just go in no matter what, which is why being the guy who gets the jump is a big thing that will cause you to gain MMR. If you're the player who manages to play around the vision well and just understand the map movements and find the pickoff to lead the fight, you're going to be the guy who carries the games and wins the games, right? If you find those pickoffs. But yeah, now they turn it around. So 44 minutes in here, still an 11k lead. He goes on the Faith Beyond. Great decision to kind of force out his BKB. Knowing that, right, the Tiny is dead is just an opportunity for him to go in, because the Tiny is really important. They have no initiator. It's going to be like really just impossible for them to do anything. And because the BKB was forced, they're able to chase down the DP, Carapace onto the Lich. Man, this Nyx is just putting in work this game. Honestly, Zayax on his Nyx Assassin just own this series. Like, absolutely owned. Absolutely owned. And they're going to get an Aegis. Really good stuff. They get the Aegis. Actually dropping boots. He's also holding Cloak of Flame still, which is weird. I guess he just wants to magic resist? I mean, the AoE burn isn't that good, right? Okay, actually, okay, so he swaps it for the Stormcrafter, which makes sense. Really good against, like, Tiny Avalanche. You can briefly dodge it. It's really good against Boundless Strike if you see it coming, things like that. And it just buys time for your shit. Also can purge Spirit Vessel if your BKB is on cooldown. Or if your BKB is in your backpack, which is what is the case here. On top of that, let's quickly go over talents. So he took probably Split Earth Radius at 10, Movement Speed at 15, Pulse Nova Damage at 20, and Explosions at 25. Pretty standard. They're going to look to go high ground here. He's got the Wind Waker, and oh my gosh, they find the DP. They commit on her hard, and is that an Ag Static Storm? Why didn't he BKB? Oh, it is. I was like, why didn't DP BKB? She could have probably tried to live. He even has a Heart of Tarask, which is pretty funny. Pretty farmed on the DP here, but yeah, Heart of Tarask doesn't matter when you're playing against Lesh Marcy. It just does not matter. There's infinite damage. And yeah, he'll kite out a bit. He doesn't have that BKB, so he's kind of got to play the outside of the fight. Does find the Zeus actually with his stun. Can't really commit into the Wukongs. Will aggressively force staff it. Oh, was that intentional? What? That's crazy. So he split Earths the Zeus, and then because he uses him, it actually enables the Shard to connect. Whoa, that's crazy. Monkey King's gonna go in. He's got a second Wukong, so they're gonna have to kite out. He's got his Aegis, but he's gonna die. Swaps in the BKB. That's a great play. Man, this is beautiful stuff. If you don't know why this is a great play, swapping items takes 6 seconds. When you die with BKB, it's 5 seconds, right? So there's actually then a 1 second gap where people can stun you out of your Aegis respawn. So, but if you swap it in before you die, you'll actually have it, that gap will go away. Now, I don't think he did it in time, but that was definitely his goal, and it's really close. Yeah, he was slightly late. Won't end up mattering here, but it's a really high skill play. to do that if you do keep your BKB in your backpack. Really niche, but I don't know. The fact that he does it is just so cool to me, man. That's like, yeah, just, I don't know. That's so cool. I know time and time again, I mean, Secret playing with real aggression here. Dawnbreaker being dead. You would imagine you wouldn't want to force her buyback, but Secret takes a big risk here, and that's awesome. That's really great to see, right? They're saying, okay, LGD is going to say Dawnbreaker's dead. They're just going to go, right? They're going to have confidence, but they don't care. Zax leads in. They go with the Disruptor ulti. That means no BKB, no save, right? There's nothing to save the DP. He can't BKB, and that's a Wind Waker to come out onto the Lich. That's going to take him out. Have to kite out of the Wukongs, unfortunately. That Wukong's is Mage Slayer and Scotty, which is a big problem for LESHRAC, but that Wukong's ends, and that might be the end of the game as they find the Zeus as well. Can they kill him? Seems like the answer is yes, and that's going to be the game. So great decision making from Nisha overall. I love the fact that they were willing to use a 20-second buyback, right? If I was in their position, I would have just called the back, right? Wait for Chrysalis, don't force him to, buy back. It's late game, but they take the risk. They feel like, okay, if we hold our ward, that's more valuable than the buyback. Being able to get the jump, which I always mention to you guys, is so key in late game Dota. Wins them the game, and that's awesome. So hopefully you enjoyed this video about Nisha's LESHRAC and Team Secret's overall gameplay, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!